If you're into RTS games, you've probably come across this series before. Soldiers of War, Faces of War, and Men of War. There was about 5 Men of War games. Then Men of War Assault Squad 2, then Assault Squad 2, Men of War Origins, and now they've come along with something new, Men of War 2 Arena. Does that make sense? No? Well, each consecutive game was basically an improvement on the last, adding features and improving gameplay. The spin-offs like Vietnam basically changed the assets of the game with the same mechanics, and people hated it. The most polished game by far is Men of War Assault Squad 2, and incorporates all of the improvements and changes throughout the previous games, and continues to have a thriving multiplayer scene to this very day. So are these games good? Yes, they're very good, but also very, very Russian. In Assault Squad, you can micromanage your own individual soldiers right down to how much ammunition they have in their backpacks and the hats that they're wearing. Not only that, but the Of War games were some of the first to incorporate the ability to direct control some of your soldiers and vehicles, driving and firing their weapons completely under your own control. Combining this all together meant that in single player, you can defeat some missions with the careful micromanagement of a single soldier. It's dope as hell. Due to the way that lag compensations works, you couldn't quite do it in the same way in multiplayer, but you can still have enough control to do some micromanagement. This means that all kinds of things are possible. The shenanigans that the game, and especially direct control, allowed meant that in terms of multiplayer RTS fun, it was hard to beat. This is where Men of War 2 Arena comes in. 1C Company has taken the mechanics of the previous games and bundled them up in a multiplayer-only package, not dissimilar to the attempt that was made with Total War Arena. A game I really liked, but it didn't quite hit its mark. It will eventually be free, but currently is in a closed beta you can access by paying the kind of money that will cause your bank to ring you and ask whether or not your credit card has been stolen. That will get you access to this, a multiplayer versus co-op Men of War game that will eventually feature 5 nations. At the moment, there's only a Russian and German tech tree, with the Commonwealth, USA and Japan to come. This isn't picking a side. Either team is currently made up of a combination of both available nations. You will have to keep an eye out to make sure that those Russians are your Russians. The main PvP game mode at the moment involves Team A and Team B fighting over a front line. Owning more of the frontline territory than the other team starts earning you points. The more you've got, the more points you earn. You know the drill. You win or lose when a team gets 2,500 points, or the time runs out, and I've had games regularly end either way. Before entering into a game, you'll have to choose a division. You start with 3. Like the War Game or Steel Division series, this division will come with a preset deck of equipment split into A, B and C phases. You gain access to the B and C phases as the game progresses, and they contain progressively better equipment. Both sides start with 3 divisions for free that cover all the bases: armour, infantry and support, consisting of field and anti-tank guns. Using the silver currency earned in-game, you can purchase new divisions that come with different decks of equipment. But wait, there's also a tech tree. It took a minute for me to figure out, but this is basically it. The purchasable decks come with units from all throughout the tech tree, filling appropriate slots of infantry, guns, tanks and the like. If the composition of the bought deck isn't to your liking, you can replace units within it, but only with units that you have researched through the tech tree. Essentially, you pick a deck that fulfills the role that you would like, and gradually customize it to suit the playstyle that you'd like. For example, the division I've bought is focused on self-propelled guns. Right now, the deck has some Marder 3s and Vespes as its best units, but I am working towards, through the tech tree, to be able to replace the Marder 3s with Stugs, and the Vespes with Hummels, or maybe something else. So with games containing anywhere between about 6 to 10 players, you never know what you're going to get. I could be rolling up with self-propelled guns and some infantry towards an enemy that has focused on entrenched infantry or heavy tanks. Likewise, your teammates could have focused on towed guns or even air support. You'll have to quickly look along the line to see where it is your particular units can exploit the weaknesses of the enemies you're facing. In an ideal world, everyone would cooperate, but in the worst case, you'll have to use what you've got. to do your best. Don't forget, there are still the things that made the older Men of War games so cool. You can still take direct control of anything from artillery guns to individual soldiers. You've got to make sure you pay attention to your soldiers, to make sure that if they need any direct assistance, like specifically targeting the weak point of an enemy tank, you can give it to them. There is a great dynamic that forms when you have just enough units to spread along the front line and create an enormous battle amongst your teammates, but not so many units that you don't have time to give them the individual attention if they need it. The game is unforgiving. You can get yourself into situations where you have lost a long time before the game actually ends. With the deck system and limited reinforcements, you can have the guns that are heavy enough to tackle enemy heavy tanks destroyed and be left with very few options as they start tearing through your lines. I encourage you never to give up though, as the amount of micromanagement that is possible allows you to come up with some creative solutions to even the most difficult problems. Don't leave your teammates out in the cold. That's why I like my mobile guns so much. I can rush over to help a teammate struggling against tanks while they're pounding the enemy lines with field guns. Hopefully, when infantry come rushing towards me in numbers, he'll do the same with the units he's got that are better for it. Don't get frustrated. Even losing is fun and gains you experience for the units as you struggle to hold off an onslaught in a variety of creative ways and make your way down the tech tree doing it. There is truly no other game out there that does quite what Men of War does, and I'm looking forward to the full release of Arena. I would brace yourself for all of the usual grind that a free-to-play game brings with it, but when the core gameplay is fun, then I've got no real issue with that. If all the remaining nations get tech trees as detailed as the ones we currently have, you will have no shortage of different types of playstyles, and you'll definitely be able to find your niche within one of them. Make no mistake, the Men of War games have always been rough gems. When Arena comes out into free-to-play, I highly encourage you to give it a go. I mean, what have you got to lose? You might just love it. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed to my channel so far. I'm really glad you enjoy my content. Some people have asked for different ways to get in touch with me, so I've set up a Twitter and a Discord server you're welcome to look at. We can get some games going in Men of War or Tarkov or anything else. I look forward to making more videos like this for you in the future. Thank you.